The centuries-old order of an empire collapsed within just a few years. The chasm between the luxury of court life and the hunger of the people ignited like a spark. That spark set off the Revolution of 1789, shaking France to its core. The monarchy fell, the king was put on trial, and cities and the countryside alike turned into rivers of blood. This is the story of the French Revolution. Why it began, who led it, what unfolded, and how it ended. Before the Revolution, accumulated anger and influences. In 18th century France, the economy was unstable and inequality ran deep. Society was divided into three estates. The clergy and nobility enjoyed privileges, while the third estate, peasants, urban workers, and the rising bourgeoisie, suffered under heavy taxation. Enlightenment thinkers such as Voltaire and Rousseau, along with the example of the American Revolution, spread new ideas. The reign of Louis XVI was mired in debt. The luxury of the royal court enraged the people. This situation led to the convocation of the Estates General in 1789, but the imbalance of representation only fueled tensions further. A break in the land, the National Assembly and the Bastille, 1789. In June 1789, the Third Estate declared itself the National Assembly, demanding constitutional rights and the famous tennis court oath. On July 14, 1789, the storming of the Bastille prison in Paris created a symbolic rupture. Open rebellion against the monarchy had begun. In the countryside, the Great Fear spread, and feudal privileges collapsed. On August 4, 1789, feudalism was officially abolished. On August 26, the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen was proclaimed. Versailles and the King brought back to Paris, October 1789. On October 5 to 6, 1789, Parisians, angered by the luxury of the palace, marched directly on the Palace of Versailles. This forced the royal family to return to Paris, where they were kept under the close watch of the National Assembly. The symbolic power of the monarchy was shattered, and royal authority severely weakened. A turning point, the fall of the monarchy and the proclamation of the Republic, 1792. As the revolution radicalized, King Louis's attempted flight to Varennes in 1791 was discovered, completely destroying public trust. By the summer of 1792, as wars and unrest escalated, the monarchy was abolished. On September 21, 1792, the National Convention declared the French Republic. Louis XVI was accused of treason, tried, and executed by guillotine on January 21, 1793. His wife, Marie Antoinette, was executed in October 1793. Radicalization, the Jacobins and the Reign of Terror, 1793 to 1794. The power vacuum was filled by the radical Jacobins, led most notably by Maximilien Robespierre. Through the Committee of Public Safety, they ruled France with an iron hand. Revolutionary tribunals were established against enemies of the revolution, leading to swift trials, mass executions, and forced conscription. This period became known as the Reign of Terror. Jean-Paul Marat, a radical journalist and agitator, was assassinated by a political enemy on July 13, 1793. Georges Danton, one of the revolution's early leaders, later clashed with Robespierre and was executed on April 5, 1794. Robespierre enforced harsh measures in the name of virtue, but the terror and witch hunt, like persecutions, provoked growing resentment. On July 27, 1794, he was arrested and the next day executed by guillotine, ending the terror. From Thermidor to Napoleon, Instability and Rise, 1794 to 1799. After Robespierre's fall, the Thermidorian reaction began, bringing moderates to power. In 1795, the Directory was established, but corruption, economic crisis, and unrest persisted. This instability paved the way for the rise of a military figure, Napoleon Bonaparte. On November 9 to 10, 1799, 18 Brumaire, he staged a coup and seized power. Napoleon's era is a separate story, one that we will explore in detail in another video dedicated to him and his empire. Final reflection: the legacy of the Revolution. The French Revolution dismantled feudal privileges and strengthened the concepts of the modern nation-state and citizens' rights. The Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen influenced debates on suffrage, secularism, and liberty worldwide. Yet it also brought extremes of violence. The more freedom it promised, the more chaos and bloodshed it left behind. The revolution thrust Europe into decades of war and political transformation.